If you were a child on the internet between the years 2015 and 2018, then you have undoubtedly heard about the indie game Yandere Simulator. Whether you watched Markiplier play it or you managed to sneak it on your family's computer so you could play it yourself in all of its 12 frames per second glory. In the game, you play as Ayano Aishi, a girl with a rare condition that causes her to be completely emotionless, except for when she's in the presence of a very specific boy. This boy, despite being incredibly boring in every way, manages to catch the eye of pretty much every girl in school, and Ayano does not like that very much. Throughout the course of the game, 10 different girls will fall in love with Taro Yamada, or Senpai, or they would, if the game was finished. Only one of these 10 girls is actually inside the game as a playable rival, and this game began development almost 10 years ago? Looking at the designs for these characters, you can tell exactly which stereotype each one of them falls into. And you know me, I do not like stereotypes. So today we're taking my 3 favorite rivals and redesigning them. It's like that's the whole point of my channel. And who better to start with than the very first rival herself, the one and only Miss Osana Najimi. And oh boy, that is definitely a design. Let's talk about it. I knew it was important this time for me to decide exactly what it was I wanted to change about Osana's design. I personally feel like she's very top heavy, as well as her bottom half being very complicated with nothing to compensate for it in the middle. I'm also really not a big fan of how the blue in the uniform, which is the wrong uniform by the way, that's a middle school uniform. I'm not a big fan of how it clashes with all the warm tones in her hair and her accessories. Also, her socks, I'm sorry, they are so ugly. These are so ugly. Her pose is also definitely not doing Miss Girl any favors, so let's see what we can do. Now that I knew exactly what it was about Osana that I wanted to change, I knew that there were also things about her that I wanted to keep, like her hairstyle and color. I just think that's so iconic. The twin tails, the orange, and I also feel like it fits her pretty well. One thing I really do like about this design is that she has a very strong silhouette and color palette, which are 2 of the most important aspects of character design. But like I said, the blue in the middle just kind of clashes, I feel like. But also, the blue uniform is pretty iconic to Yandere Simulator. A lot of people have changed the uniforms in their redesigns, so I decided that I was going to do the same thing because the sailor uniform, while it is sometimes used in high schools in Japan, I think that it's more commonly used in middle schools. So the 3 rivals that I redesigned in this video are going to all be wearing a different uniform. They're going to be wearing different variations of the same uniform. I tried to make them all look cohesive but also unique. You'll see that in a second. You'll see here that I actually ended up shortening her twin tails. That way they can still be used in like the hair related elimination methods, but they're not super long to where they would get in her way and also be just a little bit strange to see in a high school setting. I knew that she needed some accessories because the scrunchies and the stockings, while they're not my favorite, they are very iconic, so I knew that I had to replace them with something, so I ended up giving her leg warmers on top of her normal socks that she would wear as part of her uniform. For the 3 redesigns that I'm doing in this video, I'm really not interested in changing any part of their personality, especially because I feel like they're very recognizable, especially Osana as the most well-known rival. Arguably, her tsundere attitude is very iconic, if not a little bit annoying. So while I said at the beginning of this video that I dislike stereotypes, that mainly just applies to the designs. I feel like adding a little bit more variety in your designs and expanding on the stereotypes that you're building off of makes for a more interesting story. Anyways, the colors. You'll see here that the uniform is still these shades of blue. I just made them a little less saturated, as well as the pink in her accessories. I made those less saturated too, just to try and tie them in a little bit more together. The bright blue and the bright pink were clashing a lot. I played around with giving her darker roots, but I eventually decided just to make her hair ginger. I, of course, changed her pose from looking like she's yelling at you to looking like she's questioning your life choices. This redesign isn't anything too special or out of the ordinary, just a bit of an alteration of some things I would like to see in her design. I gave her some little bracelets just to tie in that pink a little bit more. I gave her freckles just because I thought they suited her face. I made sure to give her more of an angry expression, but other than that, that is Osana. The next rival that I chose to do was Amai, and she was giving me a little bit of trouble because I realized that there was not that much that I wanted to change about her, so I didn't bother doing one of those charts that I did for Osana. Once again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I really don't enjoy stereotypes, especially in the visual design of a character, and when redesigning Amai, most people give her a larger body type. My friend Naiomi has a really great video on this, but essentially I feel like it's really strange when there are 10 rivals for you to redesign and the only one that you make plus sized is the baker girl. That feels really backhanded, honestly. And I want to hear you guys' opinions in the comments because I am not plus size, but I do just feel like it's really strange to make Amai fat just because she's a baker and she's in the kitchen. Wow, it's 2023, people. Come on. Characters can be fat just to be fat. It's not a personality trait. And obviously I'm not saying that anybody who has designed Amai as a plus size girl is wrong and their redesigns are bad. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is maybe you need to consider why you are making her bigger. Consider the reasons behind it, because there doesn't always need to be a reason. A character can be fat just so that plus size people can see themselves in media, and that can be the only reason. A character doesn't have to have a reason to be fat. Anyways, sorry about that little rant. I do try to include a variety of body types in my art, but obviously I'm still learning, so any criticism would be greatly appreciated. That being said, for Amai, I struggled a little bit with her pose because I didn't really want to include all the stuff she has in her portrait. I just felt like it would clutter the design when I meant to be like redesigning her as a character, and also I am lazy, so I did not want to draw them. Like I said, there isn't anything I particularly dislike about her design other than her socks. All of the rivals have pretty atrocious socks. I'm sensing a pattern here. So I just gave her normal knee-high socks. I feel like she wouldn't want to wear anything too flashy, but they also still tie in with her color scheme because you'll see in a second that I added a little bit of mint green to them. Speaking of her color scheme, I do really love that mint green. You don't really see green that often in character designs, especially for female anime characters. I feel like green is kind of a rare color, and I think that this mint green is absolutely gorgeous on her. And to highlight those pops of green, to make sure that they stand out, I actually made her skin and her hair darker. I didn't really want to change her hair texture too much, so she's mixed. She's black and Japanese because I said so, and this is my channel and I can do whatever I want. Anyways, I probably changed the least about Amai. Like I said, I am a big fan of her original design. Anyways, let's move on to the next rival. And you may be telling yourself, oh yes, they did Osana and then Amai, and now next is Kizana, right? No. I have never seen anybody redesign Megami, and that is so tragic because her design could have been so good. Her role as a foil to Ayano is super interesting, and I would love to see where that storyline goes in 200 years when she actually gets added to the game. As much as I love Megami as a concept, I cannot ignore the glaring issues with her character design. The anatomy is super weird, her expression is off-putting, I hate her socks, I hate the fact that she's wearing gloves with her uniform. She looks silly, she looks goofy, she doesn't look intimidating like she's supposed to, and it's really disappointing because I really like her. So I knew that for my redesign, I wanted her to look more intimidating and less, for lack of a better word, silly is what she looks like. She looks silly. She has an extremely top-heavy silhouette, and I think it might just be the pose that she's in, but she just looks really strange, and her color palette is super weird. I don't know. I am really not a fan of the gloves. I struggled a lot with her hair because the original style of her hair is very simple. It just looks a little bit more complicated because of the pose she's in. I originally gave her a hime cut, but that looked a little bit silly, so I just swept her bangs to the side because I don't like drawing blunt cut bangs, I'm sorry, and I just gave her pretty much the same hairstyle she has in her original design. The version of the uniform that she's wearing has a blazer just because I think it looks really professional, really refined. Of course, she would keep it like ironed and stuff. She hangs it up after school every night. I don't know what she does. On the Yandere Simulator wiki, it says that Megami is the smartest, most popular, most powerful girl in school, and I feel like you can't have all of those things at once. I feel like she needs to be a little bit more balanced as a character. She feels very overpowered, which is really hypocritical coming from somebody like me, but I feel like she would be the really studious, off-putting type, but not a lot of people like her. They respect her, they fear her, but they don't really want to be her friend just because she seems like she'd be kind of mean. And of course, she comes from a very powerful lineage. She runs the student councils. She's just overall very intimidating. So I gave her some stockings under her socks. It looks kind of silly. I think I wish I would have just gone with the socks, but there's really nothing I can do about it now. Anyways, here are all of the girls. So yeah, those were my Yandere Simulator redesigns. A few people have been requesting them in my comments, so I figured I would give y'all a little something to snack on. Please don't ask me for a part 2 to this video. I'm really not interested in redesigning any of the other ones. I just straight up don't like them, so I don't feel like drawing them. However, if you are interested in more Yandere Simulator content, my friend Pistachiomi has an amazing redesign series that they're working on right now, and I really suggest you go check it out. I'll have their videos linked in the description. That being said, I really enjoyed working on these redesigns, and I really hope you like them. Tell me what you think in the comments, and as always, I have been Inkyo, and I will see you very soon.